I read this amazing book called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I think I had just never felt so alive and understood. And my questions just felt like they felt so normalized and important. And that book definitely opened me up to like just go down this journey, and it's okay. You're on the right path to be willing to question like whether you come back to the middle or not. Like God is not afraid of your questions, because that was another thing. I was like, these too many questions should I not ask? This is probably why I didn't take the philosophy class, because I would have had a lot of questions in that class, and I was so unprepared for that. And so that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, and I'm still on that journey. I'm still discovering. I don't necessarily think I have as like late. I'm not really in a label season of it all
Hmm.
right now. And I have been looking to get back to a label, if I'm honest. Like part of me was like, okay, do I need a label again? Like because after I was telling people I wasn't Christian, because I would tell a few close friends, like, I don't think I'm Christian, but I'm definitely so spiritual and I love God and I love him even more now. And I don't, it's not a him or her, or it's universe. And I was just talking in a way that I was even really surprised, but was so happy and was so open. And and there's no now, but to say that like I'm still on that journey is just more of my truth. Like I'm still learning, discovering, reading, and not putting a timeline on that.
So it seems like you were having an awakening experience. What were your parents thinking at this time? Were you sharing what you were learning or what you were realizing with your parents? And what was their reaction, being that they were so traditionally Christian?
Yeah, not really, honestly, because it was also a part of my healing journey to not feel like I needed to get anybody's approval or validation or input during such a sensitive and vulnerable time for me, because that is very sensitive and vulnerable to try to just continue to discover in a way that doesn't include other people's like dictations or mentorship or whatever. Or excuse me, I wouldn't say mentorship, but like full like rule of thumb, like
Hmm.
just I definitely was getting mentorship, but I just thought that, because I also recognized that it wasn't, I had no, I was very lucky to feel like I didn't have any pain towards necessarily my parents or the church. I wasn't like mad or pissed at God or pissed at them necessarily. There were things that I was upset about that I didn't discover on my own, and I had to go through that. And that, had a lot of issues, but it wasn't about them. And so I just didn't really include them as much. I mean, they could see based on the fact that pretty we have a open relationship, but I think there are things about your relationship with your parents that is like, this one's for me. Just like they're like, this is
Hmm.
for us. And so I think this was one of those things where I was like, this is for me. Now you can obviously discover, like, I don't really go to church with my parents as often anymore. Like I rarely do really. I do if I just like am in the mood for that, because I'm still open to there's not like I didn't have the I hate the church moment or I hate this version of religion. I'm pretty grateful for that, because I think that there's a lot of extra, there's more pain to that, and I understand it deeply. I had friends that went through that version of it, and I totally get it, and I empathize very deeply. But I don't think that was necessarily my journey, so I didn't necessarily have to cut them off or it wasn't that type of experience.
Or like they
So
didn't, or like it wasn't like they disapproved of you because you weren't following in their the way they raised you,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. I mean, they were like, why aren't you going to church? And what's going on with it? Like, it was a lot of questions, but I just had to decide, like, do I want to deal with it or not? And that's why it was a sometime thing. Some days I didn't want to deal with it, and I just got dressed and went and was like, I don't want to deal with this. It's distraction to what I'm personally trying to deal with. So I would just be like, I can handle obliging because my mental health is in a good space, my spiritual health is in a good space, and this is just an experience. And this is about being some of it was about just like getting over the situation and not letting this escalate or be a big deal. And then sometimes like, okay, I don't mind going today. And then sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I need to stick to what I am comfortable with. So yeah, there's like the back and forth within myself, but I can still see that their heads were turning. I've had a few moments where my mom's like, what book are you reading? That's interesting. That's different. And I was just like, yeah, it is. And I would just keep going, because I'm like, it's not that yet. Let me keep going through my journey without anybody's extra opinions.